All right, guys, we're here at our final three teams. They actually just hit the money here in our pretty unique event here. It's called the Battle of the Nations. What it is, guys, it featured a buy-in of 440 US dollars. That's split between two players. The two players at the start, we do our best to keep them at separate tables. The only time they can ever be at the same table is when they hit the final table. Actually, here at the final table, when we hit the final table of 10, we have three teams still battling out for 20% of the prize pool. There's a total of 17 teams that joined this event. That's a total of 34 players. Cumulative prize pool of 6,600 US dollars. The last team standing again picked up 1320, so $1,320. That $1,320 was won by two players of the Philippines. Although to change your luck, they did represent Portugal, from my understanding. So the final three teams, see the seat number 2 on your screen. So when the screen comes up, it's going to be Ji Yong Kim and So Young Park. They sit on 71,300 chips from Korea. Actually, the lady there of that team has made the main event final table, or last event here at PT Philippines 1. She came in second as runner-up of the main event. Seat number 4 is going to be Kosei and Yuzugi of Japan. They are the chip leaders at 185,200 chips. Kosei is a very decorated pro. He does play for the other team, as you guys can see, is branded there, playing for that team. And then we have Jun Funabashi and Tetsuya Fushikawa. No real introduction there for Tetsuya there, guys. Tetsuya is one of the most decorated players of the APT and Asia and all of the world. I believe he is one of the top money leaders of Japan. According to GPI, he's probably second. I also have a guest speaker in the house, guys. He was also part of this, representing Team USA. Michael here. Yeah. There you go, guys, Michael. So, Michael, he's opted to help us out here and entertain you guys with a little commentary of his own. So he'll be commentating here on the hands. Again, guys, it's a very unique format. Again, they started, unlike other team events where two players had a tag team and swap playing off of one stack. Actually, what made this fun was that the two players from each team got to play off of a stack each. Every 30 minutes, they switched sheets. And the reason for swapping the seats is if one player got eliminated, every 30 minutes, which is a blind level, so they get to swap playing off that one stack. So here we go, guys. As you guys can see, we're about to get started with the cards in the air here. I'll turn over the mic here to Michael here. All right? Thank you very much, Michael.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Okay, so I'll leave you guys to it.
Well done.
Keep the thing rolling here.
This is yours, right?
That's mine.
I'll move over here.
You can give a shot, Michael, really quick.
Let's see. Yeah, I'm seeing school.
Last time I remember
Cebu. Yeah.
With
Start.
Give me a shot, Michael, to see if the camera's up.
wait, high roller champion, then
I didn't hear
final
this.
table.
Is it in? Is it on? Okay, great. So I just want to say, yeah, thank you. I'm really excited for this
Okay, here we
tournament.
go.
As Lloyd mentioned, this is a very unique structure.
2400.
Unlike other tag team events where you play off of one stack, in this tournament, we have two stacks. So each player has their own stack, and every 30 minutes you have to switch, which makes it really interesting because you are often put into a new situation. So, for example, you might be playing against one person who's playing to your right with a small stack, and then you move to another table. Now you're playing against him. he might be in front of you with a bigger stack. So the dynamics are constantly changing. Chip stacks are changing. It's a very exciting tournament. We can give you more details later as we go on. Don't want to delay the start of this, so let's go ahead and get started. We have three of the best teams. My team, we went out in 5th place. We were the bubble, so I got to know these players pretty well. They're all really great players and really nice people. So here we go. The tournament has begun. You know, this year was the first year that the WSOP in Las Vegas implemented a tag team tournament. I wasn't there. I was there for the WSOP, but I left before the tag team tournament started. And the feedback that I heard that it went very well. It was very popular. However, I think this is a better structure. So I believe the WSOP can learn from these guys. It's a much more interesting structure because, as Lloyd mentioned, each player gets their own stack as opposed to playing off their own stack. It's really well put together. So now is this the first hand? Okay, so now hand number 2. Okay. It's interesting too because in this tournament, both players can play on the same hand. So this tournament has a lot of potential. So Korean team picks up pocket jacks, and they raised it up. And there's a call. Kosei, and using it with the Queen 9. And we'll have the first flop of the final table. Is there another raise? So I'm sorry, I thought they already raised, but they haven't. Okay, my mistake. Now there'll be a raise. And they take it down. So they raise it to 6.5. Yeah, this was a really fun tournament. I think we started with 34 people. Yeah, 17 teams. Now we're down to the final 3 teams. And now they're just sitting with each other. But earlier, each player had their own stack. Very interesting scenarios are created for this tournament. When we got to the final table of 8 people, we had on that table 6 of the people were from 3 teams. So we had 3 teams and 2 single people. So that created some interesting scenarios where you could basically collude. You can't collude with words. You can't use hand signals, but through your betting, you could actually put your opponents in some interesting situations, playing at the same table with your teammate. So this time, Kosei and his teammate raises with a 10-7, and that's enough to take it down. Now the tag team event in Las Vegas earlier in the month, the format there is you could have up to 4 people on your team. And the rule is that each person had to play 1 hand. That was it. As long as they played 1 hand, they were part of the team. But I don't believe you're allowed to have 2 people play the hand together like they're able to do here. And you only played 1 stack. here's a fourth hand, Tetsuya, and his teammate, their first act, with Jack 8 of clubs. And they choose to raise to 5,000. Korea team folds, King 10, that should be a call, I would think. They discuss it. And they do make the call. So we get a flop. I think this will be their first flop. No, second flop. Second hand was all flop. Got that already, huh? Okay. I thought they already called. Yeah. I thought that already happened. Good. Okay, there's a flop. Queen 7, 10. 10.
Alright, guys.
Interesting. Okay, so so here's the turn. On the Tetsuya flopped the flush draw on the turn. Kosue got trip tens. Okay, there we go. He bet 6,000. Now Tetsuya, is he just going to call or raise? He definitely won't fold. See what he does here. He called. So he calls with flush draw. So the two Japan's team battling each other, and he got his flush on the river. Very interesting. Most likely he's going to go check, bet, and then he puts the sets. But let's see what Kosue and Usugi-san decide to do. They're discussing, should we bet if he raises fold, or should we just check call? I imagine that's what they're talking about. Let's see what they decide to do. Now, Japan is famous for being quite conservative with their play, and also very smart. But then again, they can surprise people too, so you never know. But considering that they generally are quite conservative, I wouldn't be surprised to see him check, but it looks like they're making a bet. I can't quite see. Now they've got other teammates helping them in the back. They made the bet, so they figure, we'll probably head with our 10, so they bet at 10,000. Now they're discussing, what should we do here? It could be a full house out there. Should we just call? They're not going to fold. Or should we raise? And if we raise, how much do we raise it to? I imagine that's the conversation they're having in Japanese. They probably want to raise, but then they're probably thinking, well, what if they come over the top? Do we fold it? Should we just call? Very interesting hand. We see the plot. Oh, here's the plot. 44,000. So there was a small bet on the river there. Only bet 10,000 to a $44,000 pot. So they're probably concerned for the flush. I imagine they're going to make a raise. It looks like they're cutting out raising chips. There is a raise. So it's a $10,000 bet and a raise to. Bear with us for a second. It takes a little time for us to count the chips from the booth. We'll have a number here for you soon. Raise to 30,000. So it's a 30,000, $20,000 raise. Now I wonder what are the other two talking about right now?
Alright, guys, they can poker bet coming your way here.
Is he bluffing on it? Is he bluffing
Come on,
us?
12 minutes.
Could they have a
All the
flush?
lucky days
Maybe they even have a full house.
Days of poker event.
They hand like an ace-10.
Feature a $165 line.
What should we do?
165 is the line for the days event. If you pay to register ladies,
No, if they were to raise, they probably would take the hand down, representing a full house. But I think that's unlikely that they would do that. Of course, we see the card, so we can see that would be a winning play, but obviously they don't know that. Most likely they will fold, but it is a tough decision to make. These guys know each other pretty well. They play with each other quite often. So probably talking about, okay, what are the different range of hands that they could do this with? What would make the most sense here? Could they be bluffing us? It's only the 5th hand of the day. Everyone's hiding their faces. They're trying to get some kind of tell. Now they're laughing. Very interesting. One thing about playing against 2 people is you have 2 faces to look at. So you have twice as many potential tells, which is another interesting part of this game. Earlier when I was in a hand, I flopped a set, and then the limit ended. The level ended, so I had to get up. So in the middle of the hand, I tried to tell my partner what was going on. We're on the turn, but I realized his reaction to what I had could also give up. Okay, get back to the action. They made the right play. They folded. Tough fold, the king 10 there. But they made the fold. Now these two are laughing. I don't know what they're laughing about. But my point was that you can get tells from both players if you're paying attention. It's very interesting. I hope they run more of these tag team events. It would be a really ballsy play, but if they could have somehow made a re-raise there, they would have won the pot, representing the full house. But it's a very hard play to make. I have 3 very good teams here. The Korean team, they were sitting to my right, the final table. I didn't see them make any mistakes. Everyone plays a very solid game and pretty straightforward. So given that, there is the potential to actually make some plays on people. If you can represent a really strong hand, you can get hands like flushes to fold with representing full houses, I believe. Okay, so Korean team raises to 5,000. Actions to Kosei and Usugi-san. With the king 6 of spades. They 3-bet. There we go. Shown some aggression, so they 3-bet to 14,000. This team looks like one player was trying to call. As he was doing that, the other one folds. So, back to Korea, they've got the ace-7 of diamonds. We can see it's the better hand. But what's the right play here? They're put in a hard spot. Do they just call, fold, or do they re-raise? don't think there'll be a re-raise, but there will be a call, it looks like. So now the Japanese team has showed pre-flop aggression. They have they've kind of got control of the hand. Interesting flop. Korean team flops nut flush draw. Japanese team flushes a straight draw. They are the pre-flop aggressors, so they'll probably make a bet here, I'd imagine. And oh, they checked. So now what will Korea do with the nut flush draw here? And an inside straight draw. I see now one of the things I've learned about this from my play yesterday with my teammate was because we just met yesterday, we didn't know each other. We don't have the kind of dynamics that these guys have. You can tell they know each other. The Korean team, they're brother and sister. Japanese teams, players, you know, they're all like very, very good. They've been playing for years and know each other very well. They go ahead and make them. They bet the flush draw and they get the king 64. So as you can see, there's a lot of conversation going on with all these teams, and that was something that because me and my teammate didn't know each other that well, and you know, English is his second language. We were a little bit more challenged just in having conversations. But he's a really nice guy. You actually can see my teammate in the background there with the blue shirt stretching. He's from Malaysia. He's a very good player. A lot of fun to play with. He just stood up. Here's a chip count. Kosue Inusugi with 144,000. Jun and Tetsuya 104,000. And followed right behind them the Korean team with 91,000. Every 30 minutes, the player needs to change, but nothing much will really change because each decision is now a group decision. Here come the low cards. Imagine it's going to go fold, but let's see what happens. So 9-7 on the button. Oh, there's looks like a raise. Nine seven raises to 6,000, 5,300, and I'm sure that'll get the other two to fold. And I was wrong again. There's a call by the big blind with the 6 deuce. Diamonds. And now 13,000 in the pot. Flop comes 5 queen. 10 rainbow. Be interested to know if the Koreans know Japanese, because the Japanese team is talking a lot. I imagine they're speaking in Japanese. And when the 9-7 bets out 7,000, and there's a call. I fold, sorry. So people actually are playing more aggressively than I thought. But with 3 players, when you have the button, there's an argument to be made to raise any 2 cards. So. And knowing that, it may do a diamonds to call from the big blind, especially with the antes in play. Blinds are going to be going up in a couple minutes. Here's the chip count for you. Kosue Inusugi, who showed the most aggression so far. You're at 151,000. number 7. So in the first 30 minutes, we played 7 hands. That's because we had one hand that went to the river, and also many of the hands are taken now. You know, both parties are talking about what to do, so it takes a little bit longer to play the hands.
No, one more. 하나, 둘, 셋. 넷. 오. 오. One, two, three. One more. One, two, three. Thank you. Hello. 안녕하세요.
Okay, this is most likely the last hand of this level. Yeah, there'll be a 10-minute break after this hand.
Already.
Well, no.
Just ending the.
After this hand. Yeah, after this hand, there'll be a 10-minute break. There's a fold, and Ace Jack wins without even doing anything. So we're on a 10-minute break, and be back with you in 10 minutes.
We skip the break. Continue. Skip the break. Spread break. Spread. Pero también. Okay. 3. What?怪しいな。
All right, guys, for the OFC high roll event 1100 live, this capped out at 12 players already. A few players signed up. So 1,100 US dollar buy-in, OFC event. We have the three-time champion, Hans Park. John Kim, waiting to play at OFC event, guys. So 1,100 buy-in, OFC event, capped out at 12. This format is a shootout.
Calling the attention of the following players: Mon, Jesse, Justin, Archie, Shuhei, Mark, Wilson, Jay, and Kim. We're opening a new table to 25 new guys. This is table 13. Last call for Mon, Jesse, Justin, Archie, Shuhei, Mark, Wilson, Jay, and Kim for 25 new guys. Please proceed to table 13.
All right, guys. Battle of the Nations. Please take your seats. Battle of the Nations. All right, Battle of the Nations. Cards are back again, guys. 1,500, 3,000 blind play, 500 empty. Battle of the Nations once again, guys. Let's go.
My voice. Okay, we're back. Level 16, I believe. We're back from the break. And again, just to remind you, this is a tag team event. It's called Battle of the Nations. Each team represents a different country. You don't necessarily have to be from that country, but you do represent a country. It's a lot of fun. We started with 17 teams, or 34 people. Each person has their own individual stack. Every 30 minutes, as the blinds change, as the levels change, you have to move to the other stack. So you switch with your teammate. Even if you're in the middle of a hand, and even if you're at the same table, but you never play at the same table until the final table. They always keep the pairs separate. It's a really very creative tournament, very interesting. I've never played a tournament like this. It's very dynamic because you're playing different stacks, right? So you might have a small stack on one table, but then when you switch to your partner's stack, all of a sudden you could have a larger stack. And you might play with one person in one position and another person in a different position. But we have a pretty big flop here. Wow. Kosue and Usuge flopped a monster hand with ace queen and got the flop with ace jack 8. And they'll make a bet and they'll win that hand. But yeah, it's a very exciting event. I guess very good players here from the final 3. As you can see, there are 2 trophies on the table. Each player wins a trophy. These are 30-minute blind levels, so there's still a lot of play left. And Korean team, I'm sure they're going to fold. They're just taking their time. They don't want to give up any tells. But there'll be a fold. So far, the other Japanese team hasn't been so active. They did get a flush earlier. They made a nice sized pot against their Japanese counterparts. But other than that, they really haven't had very many cards to speak of. So, Kosue and Usuge, as they've propelled themselves to 157 chips. The other Japanese team is 107. Very exciting tournament here. Okay, so now we have a hand, King 6 clubs from the button. Jun and Tetsuya. And now it's Jun's turn to play the hand, but each hand they're sharing, they're discussing every hand together, so it's really a quick decision. So it's 3,000 to call. They raise it up to 6.5. Get a fold from the Korean team. And Kosue and Usuge, they're not going to fold here. They either will call or raise. Let's see what they do with the King 10. And they choose just to call. Interesting. I'm sorry, I made a mistake. They 3-bet. 3-bet to 14,000. That's what I thought they would do. And then there's a quick call from Jun and Tetsuya. And here's the flop, 2-3-9, which doesn't change much. Kosei's team showed pre-flop aggression, so they probably will continue here, and they do. Betting out. Looks like 5,500. 18,000, excuse me. I got the chips wrong. They bet out 18,000 into a pot of 49,000. And the king 6 folds, and they say thank you. Are they going to show the cards? No, they choose not to show. They take down a nice size pot. So the Japanese team of Kosei and Isugi continue to do well here. They're up to 174,000 in chips. 92 for the other Japanese team, and the Korean team is at 74.5. And the blinds are at 1,500, 3,000. So there's still a lot of play left. Everyone has a lot of room to maneuver. So the button is first with 3 players. The Korean team has a king, queen offsuit. Most likely you're going to see a raise. I would guess to around 7,000. Let's see. The raise is 6,500. Everyone has a good hand here, as you can see. 2 teams have king queen and there's jack 10. So what will Kosei and Isugi do with jack 10? With a person behind them and someone showing pre-flop aggression with the jack 10. Interesting spot here. Fold seems not an option, really. It's a very strong hand. A raise. What will you do if you get re-raised? Or do you just call? See if you can flop big. Not an easy spot. Now they know or at least I think they believe the Koreans haven't showed much aggression. So they've got to put them on a pretty good hand. So they enlisted to 3-bet to 15.5 thousand. Now the second king queen hand is up. What are they going to do? Very interesting spot to be in. Now, Tetsuya is known to be a thinking player. I believe he was the player of the year a couple years ago in the APT. So he's probably thinking, okay, what are the range of hands that these guys could have? They could have an ace X, they could have a pocket pair, maybe 2 high cards. And so they decide to fold. Wow. Considering that range of hands, I think it's the right play. But many other players wouldn't have made that fold, I don't think. So now the question is, what do you do with king queen? You made the raise pre-flop and got re-raised. Do you just call, or do you push? Obviously, you can make arguments for either play. We have the benefit of seeing their cards. And they decided to make the 3-bet. I'm sorry, 4-bet. Yeah. And that should take it down. Let's see. They realized that Kosei and Isugi have been making a lot of moves. Maybe not a lot of moves, but they've been showing a lot of aggression. So they figure we're probably ahead with this hand. Now, if they get pushed, if they go all in over the top, I'm imagining they just fold king queen. But I think this is a really good play. It puts the other two to the test. Do they want to call the 20,000 and play the hand out of position with a jack 10, or should they just let it go and wait for a better situation? I imagine that's what they're going to do, but they'll talk about it for a little while. I think they're hoping that the Korean teams don't know Japanese, so they can speak without them overhearing what they're saying. It was really fun playing against these guys yesterday. This is day 2 of the tournament. As I mentioned earlier, the Korean team there, they were sitting to my right when we got down to 8 teams, 8 players. And I was very impressed with how well they played. I can't imagine that they're going to make the call here, Jack 10. But they're considering doing something. Let's see. I imagine they'll make the fold. It's 55,000 in the pot. 20,000 to call. So they're getting good pot odds. However, hand doesn't play that strong against a 4-bet. I would love to know what they're discussing right now. Well, if we re-raise, then should we just fold? I think they're going to fold, but let's see what they decide. There's the fold. Nice play by Jim Kim and Song Park, brother and sister team from Korea. It's kind of nice to have a partner to talk to as the other players are thinking about what to do. You're not just there all by yourself. You know, you can talk about whatever you want to, and it's one way to deal with your nerves. So that hand brought that brought the Korean team into second place at 94,000, very close to Tetsuya's team. Another interesting thing about the tournament of the APTs is when they reach the final table, if the average stack at the final table is, I believe if it's less than 30 big blinds, they will push the levels back one level to give the players more play at the final table. So I think it's a pretty creative change they made. So Tetsuya raises to 8,000, the Queen Jack, and the Korea team calls. Big blind folds, and we have a flop. 3 low cards, 2, 3, 5. And there's a continuation bet of 9,000 into a pot of 17. So now we have 26.5 thousand in the pot.
Guys, once again, guys, for the OFC event,
I imagine the Queen 9 is going to fold here, but
OFC, now's the time to buy.
they don't have a diamond.
If you pay the register, guys, it's $5 for your seats.
Got no
Would you
draws.
guys start again?
So they make the fold, and Tetsuya's team takes it down. We are on a 30-minute game delay, so the players, if they want to, they could look back online to find out what their opponents have. But I'm not sure if they're doing that. They might be. I don't know. So, as you can see here, there's still a lot of play left with blinds at 1.5 and 3,000. They all have over 30 big blinds. Now Tetsuya's team has the button with the Queen 10 of clubs. I imagine they're going to make a raise. They're counting out raising chips. There's the raise. Looks like 7.5. And yeah, I got it right that time. For people who are trying to track the chips at home, the orange chips are 1,000. Yellow chips are 5,000. And the purple chips are 500. Yeah. The small blind folded. Now the queen 9. Little do they know it, but they're in a terrible spot. They're dominated by the queen 10. Of course, they don't know that, so they'll probably just make the call. They do call, sorry, and then there's the flop. Okay, 10, 5, 6. And there's a bet out of 7.5 thousand with the top pair. And they decide to float. Interesting. So they float with the queen 9. Ah, the king comes on the turn. Interesting. Now, do they want to represent the king? They don't. So check, check. And on the rivers, 6. It'll probably go check, check, but let's see what Kosue Sugi tried to do here. Will they represent that king? Or even the 6? They could represent the 6. There's 33,000 in the pot. So if they try to steal this, they'll probably bet around, I would guess around 20,000. But I don't know. These guys are better players than I am, so I'm just speculating. And they do make a play at it. They bet. How much? I don't see how much they bet, but they bet 20,000. And they call. Show the queen 10. Good play. They made a play at it. Representing either the king or the 6, but you know, obviously you have to call. It's a good play. It didn't work that time, but can't fault them for trying. But actually, everyone's playing more aggressively than I expected. So now we'll have the chip stack here soon, but that should even it up. Yep, it's a lot closer. So Jun and Tetsuya, they've actually taken the lead. They go 135,000. Kosue and Usugi 122, and the Korean team at 82,000. Nobody's in desperation mode. There's still a lot of play left. We can make bets as to when we think the first person will be knocked out. It could happen in one hand. It could happen in 2 hours from now. With poker, you never know. 8-2. Pretending to think about it, but this will be a fold for sure. King 6. What do you do with King 6 from the small blind? I think they're going to call. And they do. Ace 3 has the option. They're discussing, whether or not they should raise or just call. They choose to call. So there's, with the blinds and antes, there's 7.5 thousand chips in the middle. Nice flop for Kosue and Usugi. They flop 2 pair. What do you do when you flop 2 pair? They're going to bet out. They showed aggression last hand when they didn't have the king or the 6, and now they have the king and the 6. So they make the play to bet 4,000. I imagine they'll get a call. Who knows? Do they have a tell on them, a betting tell or a physical tell? We don't know. There's a call. I'm sorry, they raised. So they chose to raise. Maybe it's sort of like information. Raise, see where they're at. Maybe they'll just take the pot down right now. Of course, Kosue and Usugi, they love that because they got 2 pair. They might put them on a flush draw or straight draw, maybe ace-9, maybe a king. I imagine they're going to re-raise here. So the raise was to 12,000, and they choose just to call. Okay, very tricky. You just call the 2 pair, and the turn is another 9. Not a good card for them. Still have king, but if the other team has a 9, which they're probably going to represent with a bet. They can't be too happy about that. So there's a bet of 15,000. How the tables turn from the flop to the turn. They can't be happy about that 9, but I also can't imagine them folding. They're probably just going to make the call. 15,000, and they do. That makes the pot 61,000 and 500. And the river comes another 9, giving them the full house.
I get to 6 guys, unless I get 8.
Interesting.
I'm going to shut it off and get to 6.
Did they bet the full house or they check it? They check. And they check behind and they show them the full house.
5 entries so far. At 6, it'll pay 2 spots.
Very interesting hand.
We'll start off my heads up, we'll drop into 3. Unless I pick up 2 more players, we'll be playing heads up all the way through. So again, guys, collect 100 by OC.
So now we'll look at the chip stack, and you'll see that
Up to 5, we need 1 more.
Kosue's team has
So place on hold before
catapulted
we get
back
this
to
started.
the top.
Guys, we'll place on hold really quick.
They have approximately 153,000 chips. Tetsuya's got 105,000. And the Koreans are still in
Head
first
up
place
there,
with
guys. Lines goes up,
83,000.
head up there, guys. Lines are up 75, 150.
Okay, now this hand they've got the 9-4, and they both decide to fold. I like how they folded that as a team. They each folded 1 card together, and the Korean team gets a walk. Everyone folds the big blind. First time that happened on Final 2. Alrighty. Next hand, this is hand number 16 of the final 3 people. This is the second final table. We actually had a final table yesterday with 8 people. Now we're down to 3 people. Although it looks like 6, it's actually 3. So from the button we have a race, 6-5 of diamonds. And King 9 has to decide what to do here. Another interesting hand. Everyone has a good hand here. The King 9, I imagine it would raise, but I'm wrong. They called 5,000. Now the big blind has an ace-4 diamonds, and they call. So we have a 3-way pot here. I think this might be the first time we've had a 3-way pot on the flop. And there's a lot of laughter on the table. I don't know what they're laughing about, but here comes a flop, which doesn't seem to help anybody very much. Queen, Jack, 7. Doesn't hit anybody, but it does give the Korean team open ends, inside straight draw. The 10 comes. It gives Kosue Inosuke a backdoor flush draw. And so we have a check, and the button. I think they'll check, but I've been surprised before. I could be surprised again. They're considering betting. Let's see if they discuss it. They check. And the turn comes to 5, so now the worst hand pre-flop and on a flop becomes the best hand on the turn. Again, this is how poker works. Kim and Park, brother and sister team from Korea, they choose to bet their inside straight draw into a pot of 21,000. They bet 9,000.
All right, guys, we're gonna put a 15-minute clock on this OC event.
And 50, and they win. That's interesting. I thought the Queen 5, I'm sorry, the 6-5, but at least think about it for a little while before choosing to fold. But they're assuming that the Korean team probably hit the flop and just checked it because they were out of position. So, from that point of view, it was a good fold, even though they had the best hand. So we have the ability to see everybody's cards. So from that point of view, we know it was not a good move. But from their position, if you think about the range of hands they might have, I think it was a good fold. And Tetsuya is known as one of the better players of Asia. So who would I be to judge? I think it's definitely the right move. All right, hand number 17. It has been dealt. Korean team from the button is first to act with the Jack-6 offsuit. Again, we see what everyone has. We know how they have the best hand, but from their point of view, it's not worth playing. Small blind folds as well. And Tetsuya and Jun get a walk. It's just such a fascinating game. You never know how combinations of cards, how they come out. Considering people's chip stacks and styles of play and position, it's just so much dynamics in poker, and that's just changes exponentially in the tag team tournament, where now you have 2 people playing each hand. So very interesting how things are happening. But as you can see, we have very good players here. Nobody's getting wildly out of hand, but at the same time, they're not afraid to show aggression if they need to win a pot. So now the interesting hand, everyone has a king this time. So Kosue and Usuge, king 9, but probably see a raise. Again, blinds are 1.5 to 3,000, big blind. So there is a raise to 9, 8,000. King 4 folds. Now King Queen suited. This looks like a raising hand. So again, they have 5,000 to call, and they choose to raise. So it's an additional. Wow, a quick fold with a king 9. So the king queen takes it down. I was in an interesting hand last night, which me and my partner, we couldn't decide if I made the right move or not. But it was a hand where under the gun I had pocket jacks. Again, we're in the final table, 8 people. And I'll give you the details later. Let's get back to this. Here we have 7 deuce from the button. Looks like an easy fold. But they talk about it for a second. Throw it away. G.Y. Kim and Sung Park with the king 6. They decide to raise to 7,500. I imagine the queen 3 will fold, but anything is possible. If they think they're trying to make a move, they might re-raise. But I'd imagine it would just be a fold. So I'll talk about that hand as we're waiting for them to make a decision. So I raised with pocket jacks. The blinds were at up. They're making a move here. The story will be told later. They called. So we have a pot now of 16,500. And the flop comes 10-3-3, and they're very happy that they called. They flop trips. But they're second to act. So they're waiting for the Korean team to decide what to do. They just showed pre-flop aggression with the king-6. And that doesn't look like a type of flop that would threaten them very much. So they make the standard continuation bet, showing strength of 7,500. I imagine it will just be a call here. Trip threes. Obviously, they're never going to fold, but they could raise. I don't know. Personally, I think just calling is the best move, but if they think the Korean team is really strong, they might raise and get a bigger pot. They think they've got an overpair or 2 high cards or 10. They might raise, but probably just be a call. Looks like they're counting out raising chips. And they did, in fact, raise to 16,500. Probably the best move. I guess they figure if they call and then the turn comes, they'll probably go check and they'll bet and they'll win anyway. So instead of waiting for the turn, just make the extra bet now. Obviously, there's no right or wrong way to play the game, which makes it such an amazing game. You could make the counter argument that it makes more sense just for them to call. And if a king comes, you know, or a card that helps the other team, they might get another bet on the turn. But they might get them to call on the flop. So let's see. Wow, there's a re-raise. Okay, I did not expect that to happen. So they re-raised to 94 more. So yeah, so they 3-bet to 34,000. Wow, very interesting play. This is the first time we've seen them make a play like this. So, you know, everyone is showing that they can make plays here. They're not just one-dimensional players. Although, you know, looking at her, she does look a little bit scared from my point of view. Again, I know what she has, so it's a little easier. But from this angle, she looks a little concerned. Of course, they love it with threes. I think now you just call, right? I'm not sure. They've got to be discussing, okay, what are the range of hands they might have to do that with? What do we want to represent? If they re-raise, again, you know, most likely just go fold. But then, okay, once again, I'm wrong, so shows you what I know. So they do make the raise again. Now at this point, I think it'll be a fold. I can't imagine them going any farther. Of course, they don't like it because they put out a lot, but they made it. They made a shot. You know, they took a shot at it. Didn't work. They got the information. So at this point, it'll be an easy fold. Too bad for the Korean team. They've been patient. They finally make a move, and they just happen to run into trip threes. Really bad luck for them. So anyway, on the hand yesterday, it's an interesting hand. I raised under the gun, pocket jacks, got a caller from Tetsuya, and a call from the Korean team. The flop comes jack, 2 hearts. I think it was jack, 6-8, 2 hearts. So I flopped a set, top set. It's great hand. So I bet out. I made a continuation bet of 5,000 into a pot of about 12,500. Tetsuya calls, and the Korean team, the ones we're waiting for right now, they thought for a long time. I thought they had a strong hand, but they ended up folding. So I don't know what they had. Then on the turn was the Ace of Hearts. So I was afraid of the heart draw. So the Ace of Heart came. I decided to check, and Tetsuya checked behind. And that's what my partner said it was wrong. He said I shouldn't have done that. My partner said I should have just pushed it. I had about 15,000 behind. And at that point, we were the chip leaders. So we were one below the chip leaders. So he thought the right move was just to push it all in at this point. But I didn't. I checked behind. No, I checked first, and then Tetsuya checked behind. On the river was a fourth heart. And so, you know, I went from having the nuts on the flop to a pretty weak hand. All he needs is one heart for a flush. So I checked, and Tetsuya eventually bet out 7,000. So we had to fold the set. He later told me he had Jack 10 with the 10 of hearts. So I made the right fold on the river, but the question I have is, should I have gone all in on the turn when the third heart came? Because I had, 10 outs to a better hand. Anyway, back to this tournament, back to this part of the tournament. Anyway, the Korean team made the right play at the end by folding. Tough play. You know, they made a good move at it, but it just happened to run up against trip 3, so that really hurt their stack. I know that feeling. Now they're asking him, did you have the 3? Did you have a 10? They'll find out in 30 minutes if they watch this stream on Twitch. So now they are in desperation mode. So you can see the antes are up to 500. The blinds are 1,500 and 3,000. Actually, no, they still have 67,000. I'm sorry. So they're actually not in desperation mode. They still have over 20 big blinds. But psychologically, they might feel like they're in desperation mode after losing that big pot. Okay, blinds actually gone up. I'm sorry. So blinds are up to 2,000, 4,000. So they've got less than 20 blinds. So now we've got the Kosue and the Sugi from the small blind, Jack 8, making the call. 9-7. I imagine they're going to check behind. But in heads-up play, you never know. But anyway, back to that hand that Tetsuya beat me on. You know, if I'd gone all in on the turn, you know, he would have folded, obviously, and then we would have been a huge chip leader. But I was trying to control the pot. I was afraid you might already have the flush. So, what was the best play? We don't know. But we'd love you to chat in your ideas into the chat box if you have ideas about what we should have done in that play. Okay, flop comes ace, queen, 6. Kosue no Sugi bet out. And that takes it down. So, Japanese team of Kosue and Usugi, they continue to propel themselves as the leaders on this final table. I love how the Korean brother and sister team are so comfortable together. They seem to have a really close relationship. It's really neat to see. All these guys get along with each other really well. So, you know, Manila is fast becoming one of the central hubs of poker in Asia, if it isn't already. And it's because they've got really good tournaments, really service-focused people, and they make it a lot of fun for everybody. So finally, the Korean team gets a good hand with ace queen. From the button, Kosue and Usugi have the 8-7 suited, so they're probably going to raise here. Blinds again are at 2,000, 4,000. There's the raise. To looks like 9,500, but yes, 9,500. Jack 3 from the small blind folds, and ace queen from the big blind. I imagine you'll see a re-raise. But let's see what happens here. If they do raise, it'll probably be to about 21.5. Let's see. That's just a guess. I have no idea how much they'll raise it to. And there's a fold. The raise was to, we didn't get it, but it was enough to, it was 22.5, exactly what I said. Amazing. Oh, good guess. Yeah, and 22.5 was enough to take it down. Nice play. Every once in a while I get my guesses right, but so that helps them. That brings the Korean team back up to 19 big blinds, 79,000. Tetsuya's team they're really probably the least active so far, but it's also because they haven't been getting very good cards. They're very patient. Now they've got the 10-8 from the button, and they raise it 2 times the big blind to 8,000. Korean team with the Queen 5 of Hearts. They're probably discussing, okay, should we re-raise our Queen 5? Little do they know they've got the best hand. Or do we just call? They're doing a great job of covering their mouths, even though the Japanese team doesn't know Korean. So even if they can see their mouth, they wouldn't know what they're saying. But, you know, gotta be safe. This is like a baseball game, right? With the pitcher, the catcher walks out to the mound with the catcher in front of the space. People don't. Well, they fold the Queen 5 of Hearts. Okay, now, what will Kosue and Musubi do with the 10-9? Little do they know they are in a dominating position against the 10-8. They do the right move from a game optimization standpoint. I'm sorry, did they call? No, they haven't decided yet. Sorry, it's their option. I think they're gonna call, but don't think they're fold. Probably just raise. Probably just call. I'm sorry. I missed something. I think there was a re-raise. I'm sorry, I missed the flop. I was a streak behind. So there was a call on the flop, on pre-flop, and the flop came King 4 Jack. It went check, bet, and now with 10-9, they need to decide if they want to call. Sorry about that. I missed the flop. Straight takes it down. What a turn card for Kosue Nasugi. And that now they're starting to really draw away from the other two. 193,000. He's telling me. Number 23 blinds are still 2,000 and 4,000. Korean team is first to act from the button. They picked up a monster hand, the best hand we've seen so far. Ace King of Diamonds. And you'll probably see a raise, obviously, I'd imagine to maybe 9,000 or 8.5. Let's see what the raise is. 8.5. And now it's a pocket pair behind them. They're checking their stack size to see should we push. I don't think they're going to call with 5, so they're definitely not going to fold. So there will be a raise, but the question is how much? Maybe 2.5 times the raise, so that would make it about 16, 20,000, maybe 22,000. I would guess they're going to raise to about, yeah, somewhere between there, probably 21,000. And then there'll be a fold, and then the Ace King probably push all in. I'm guessing that's how it's going to go, but you never know. So here comes the raise. The raise is 28,000 or 23? 23. A little more than I thought. 6 deuce will fold. Okay, now the Korean team, they've got a call. They've got 14,000, and the stack is 68,000. So they're thinking, okay, probably don't just want to call here. We want to re-raise. Do we go all in? And with a bet of 23, they've only got 3 times more than that. So I imagine they're just going to go all in here. And again, I'm probably wrong. It looks like they're just counting out calling chips. Oh, they're counting the chips, yeah. Trying to figure out what's the best move. But 3 times the raise, and I think we'll just go all in. And the 5s will, at this point, will probably just call the bet such a big stack. This is where, you know, knowing your partner is really helpful. Had I made this second final table with 3 people, I think we'd be struggling because we just met each other yesterday, and we didn't really talk that much. We don't really know what each other's philosophy of poker is. But yeah, here we go, all in. And now the 5s are put at a decision. Either they're dominated with a higher pair, or the other team has got 2 higher cards. So, and it's a flip, like a more or less a 50-50 flip. So that's what they have to think. It actually is 50-50 exactly if you look at the stats. But they don't know that. So, I mean, unless, you know, the Korean team is doing this with pocket 4s, 3s, or 2s, it's either a 50-50 proposition or they're behind 80-20 to a larger pair. So they're put to a decision here. They've got 169,000. They've got to call off just under a third of their stack. And so they make the play. They call with the pocket 5s. So we have our first all-in moment here. Final table. And here's the flop. 8, 9, 10. No diamonds. 2 of hearts. Nobody has a heart. And the river is a 5. They get trip 5s. And they take out the Koreans. Wow. And there's a beautiful hug. Too bad. I feel bad for the Koreans. They played so well. Wow. Well played. You have to hand it to them. They did a great job. Love to get those guys in the booth, but I don't think they speak English. So, but we could get a translator. So we'll do our best to get them in the booth. We're down to 2 players. Very exciting tournament. Now we have a huge chip advantage for Kosue and Usugi. You know, this tournament could end pretty quickly. We'll see. Tetsuya and his partner are playing very smart, conservative poker. They're not going to make too many mistakes. But we'll take a little break here and get back to you in a few minutes.
Break lang, break.
It open for the following 25 players: Patrick, Reggie, JJ, Luke, Nick, Elena, Lakay, Mr. Kim, and Noy. Please proceed to the vocal. It's open for the following 25 players: Patrick, Reggie, JJ, Luke, Nick, Elena, Lakay, Mr. Kim, Noy. Please proceed to the vocal. All right, so we do it for the head under that. Lines are up 100, 200. Once again, to the players and viewers for the head under that. Lines are up 100, 200.
you guys, just so you know, I'm doing the commentation in the box. So you know, so after somebody gets locked out, you guys want to come in, we can talk about it if you want. If you were like that. Nice play.
Thank you.
Very interesting game.
Oh, you were doing
Yeah, I can see what you guys are.
from the beginning?
Yeah, yeah. I won't tell. But really, it's time. The one time they made a move, you had the hands. That luck.
Right?
Yeah. I kept thinking, I would say, well, I think it's a good call here, but you didn't raise it. That's the right thing.
Because
Guys, you ready?
She doesn't want to lose.
Yeah. Good luck,
Ready?
guys.
Good luck, good luck.
Okay, boss.
Go. Ano ba? Button correct?
Last call for the following qualified players: Patrick, Reggie, JJ, Luke, Nick, Lena, Lakay, Mr. Kim, and Noy.
Alright, guys, for the ladies event, lovely ladies, please start taking your seats. We got about to get started here in the ladies event. Try to get the number that you guys like. Get you guys started there. So going out to all the lovely ladies of poker. Keep getting registered for the ladies event. We're about to start their event. And also, guys, for the OFC event, we've officially locked up registration. So for the OFC event, will drop down from the OFC event will drop down from 6 to 3. Final table of 3 for you guys here.
Okay, we're back. Now we're heads up. The first hand, we jump right into it. Kosue and Sugi have the A7. Okay, we missed a little action there, but looks like a raise and a fold. Yes, and they won. Okay. I just spoke with Kosue. I have a hard time with Japanese names. And I asked him about that hand where he raised with the trip threes, and he said that because I said, I was thinking he would just call, not to scare them away. And he said he could sense that she really wanted to win that hand, because she was getting kind of desperate, and that if he raised, she might go all, re-raise, and he was right. So he really read the situation correctly. So it makes this game so interesting. Is he was seeing things that I can't see from here. And he probably has a really good, poker sense, the ability to really sense what the other person's thinking and feeling. So that was really, I think, the turning point. Obviously, the ace-king at fives, it's the hand that knocked him out. But the hands with the trips was the turning point for them. And now they pick up ace-king from the small blind.
For the lovely ladies event, because we're already in the air, we've already signed up for the book. Now the tournament dealer, please shuffle up and deal.
But they've been getting very good cards.
We're dealing in the ladies event.
So blinds is still 2,000, 4,000. They raise and get a board. A lot of excitement in the house today. Someone's yelling about something at a different table. So Kosei and Suge are up to 283,000, and Jun and Tetsuya are down to 14 big blinds with 57,000. They haven't really made any mistakes that I can see. I think it's just bad cards. But now you're probably going to see, you know, more aggression from the chip leaders here.
Good luck, man.
So when your head's up, the blind always goes first. They're in for 2,000. The big blind is 4,000. The queen 10, they will go all in. And the 9-3 will fold, and they take down the pot. All these guys know each other really well, not only because they're all from the same country, Japan, but of course, they've been playing poker with each other for a long time. Look at the pre-flop raises, actually not a big difference. Kosue at 38%, so at 34%, so interesting. I would have thought it would have been a lot higher for Kosue's team. They seem to be showing more aggression. There's a hand. Tetsuya picks up pocket kings from the big blind. Let's see what they have in the small blind. 9-5 of clubs. They're at least going to call, maybe raise. Let's see what they do with the 9-5. It looks like they did raise to 8,000. It'd be interesting if the pocket kings just called, but I'm sure they're going to re-raise. But what would happen if they just called, I wonder? And they did just call. Interesting. I think it was a good move. It's such a strong hand, you know, it's the strongest hand we've seen all day. Of course, they don't like the fact that an ace came on the flop, the pocket kings. Although the second ace makes it unlikely the other team has aces, or has an ace. So their pocket kings, they check. There's a check behind. And most likely if someone does have an ace, they're not going to bet it anyways. The fact that there's both checked doesn't really tell them much. But again, because there's two aces, it's unlikely that someone else has it. Now that a 9 comes on the turn, Kosue and Usugi will make a bet into the pot of 17,000. They bet out 8,000. It looks like Tetsuya's thinking about a raise. They've got 53,000. The bet is 8,000. So they're having a conversation. Interesting. I'd love to hear what they're saying. But he decides just to call. And a jack comes on the river. And they bet out pretty quickly. He bets out 15,000. Interesting, they got a call. It was a good play. So he didn't raise on the turn. And they're surprised to see they've got pocket kings. Didn't expect that. Interesting play just to call on the turn and then bet out on the river. They're obviously not worried about the aces, but they figure if he's got a 9, he'll probably call us, or a jack. I guess that's the thinking behind that play. But I think he got the most he could have gotten with the pocket kings, given the 9-5. Sometimes it's smarter to so play. Sometimes it's not. There's the Japanese star-studded Final Four players. 2 teams left. And Tetsuya and Jun-san with the Jack 4, make the call. And big blind with the Ace 5, decide to check. No, not yet, sorry. They're thinking about checking or raising with the Ace 5. You know, of course, they do make the raise. They go all in, and they get the fold. Blinds are up to 2,500, 5,000. Blinds are going up. So this means Tetsuya's team is down to, well, they got about 90,000 to 5,000. So they've got, what is that? How many
Super
big blinds do they
satellite.
have?
When you guys
5,000.
hit to the main, like every 2,200 to 5 that super satellite, you can pick up a seat to the main. Fight for that super satellite.
About 18, yeah, 18 big blinds.
Okay, for every 2,200 in the prize pool, a seat will be awarded to the main event. Starting in about 10 minutes.
Jack 5 to the
Super
button.
satellite. We are going to host that right outside the ballroom. You guys can see Joshua. Draw for your seats.
They make the call. Queen 9, big blind. I imagine they'll just call. But they might make a play here. They do. So we have a pot of 11,000. Here's the flop. King, deuce. There's a quick check. It's interesting too, like how much they talk about a hand. Like in this case, he just checked. They didn't even talk about it. Now these two are spend a little time to talk about it. So, you know, how much time do they discuss a hand when they have a really good hand versus when they're bluffing? So they got the better hand to fold, but that's the powerful position. It seems like, you know, if Tetsuya and his partner, if they just, you know, talk about, okay, what should we do here? You know, sort of showing that they're interested in the flop. You know, maybe they can, maybe that, you know, gives indication that they have a king or a strong hand or a flush draw. It creates another dynamic when you have two people playing a hand. It's fascinating. Alright, this is the next hand. Hand number 30. Again, blinds at 25, 2,500, 5,000. And they just decided not to fool around, fold the 9-7. Wait for a better hand with only 80,000 left. They've got 16 big blinds.
Going 5,100 players, Kingo, Benny, Zamden, DK, JJ, Nick, Kelvin, Jeffrey, JHP.
Another interesting thing about this tournament is the team that has the final 2 players of their team standing, still in the tournament, they get 20% of the prize pool. That's another just interesting part of this tournament. I think that was won by Kosue and Usugi. I think they won that 20%. So now they've got the 10-9 button.
Please simply raise your hand so you can raise.
And they choose to raise 12,000. And again, aggression pays off. They take it down. So we're getting close to the danger zone for Tetsuya's team. But as you can tell, he doesn't seem too concerned. I mean, he's been in this position many times. He knows that they still have a chance to win. The game is definitely not over. They double up, what, 2 times, 3 times? They win the tournament. They actually can't double up 3 times. You get the point. Anything can happen. Now when you get a 4-2, it's a little bit hard to make anything happen. They just throw the chips at them before they even have a chance to show us what they have. They win the Junsan seems to be getting a little bit aggravated with the weak cards that they're getting. Other than the pocket kings, they really haven't had much. As you can see, there's a lot of activity behind this table. 2 tournaments are underway. One is a bounty tournament, and the other one is a satellite into the main event. Okay, now this time Kosue and Sugi's got the weekend 3-2 of diamonds. They might raise again. You never know. Just take it down. But they instead choose just to call on the 5,000. And we didn't see what Tetsuya had, but whatever they had, I guess it was a raise. Sorry, they raised to 12,000 and they called it. So I think Kosue and Usugi are smart to just keep applying the pressure. With only 13 big blinds, they're getting close to the all-in or fold mode. They're not quite there yet, but okay. In this hand, Tetsuya and Junsan each look at 1 card each. Another weak hand, Jack 6, and they fold again. I think they folded from the button 3 hands in a row. Each time they had their worst hand. And now they're down to 12 blinds. 12 big blinds.
Ilan na lang ba? Ilan niya yung grocery? 6 na lang. 6 na lang.
Okay, finally Jun and Tetsuya get a hand, Jack 10 of hearts. However, Kosue, and Usugi have the King 3. They go all in. They might just call with Jack 10 of hearts and see what they do. If they're feeling desperate, they could call. It's actually a 50-50 proposition. But I mean, most likely they're going to fold because they got to figure they're behind. Either how they have an ace or a pair or a king, maybe 2 high cards. Any of those scenarios, they're behind. They do have suited connectors, so they make the call. This could be the final hand. Let's see. Jack 10 of hearts versus King 3. I guess he figures, you know what? We can't let them push us around. We got 13. We got 12 big blinds. Time to make it stand. And they hit the flop, flopping 2 pair. There's a deuce. Now we're down to 3 outs for Kosue's team. And it comes to 3. And now they've increased their stack to 127,000. Puts a smile on their faces. And now, folks, we have a tournament. 127 chips versus a little bit more for Kosue's team. They've got about 100, I'm guessing 132, 138. I forgot exactly how many chips we started with. Well, I was off. I'm sorry, 213. So not quite twice as much, but a nice lead, nevertheless.
Last call, DK for 5100 flight. JJ, Mr. JK for 5100 flight. Last call for JJ. 5300.
Alrighty. Queen 9. This is a good hand. These two players. I imagine they're going to raise as they get their stack doubled. And there is, in fact, a raise to 12,000. Now, what do you do with the 8, 7 of diamonds? Not going to fold it. Either you're going to call or raise. I'm guessing it'll be a call. But they could make a move. They're out of position, though. So I think they just call. Yep. So they call it 7,000. So now we're up to, looks like 25,000. And we get to see a flop, which is something we haven't seen in a while. Flop comes Jack, 5, 5. Check. You know, this could be a good hand to make a continuation bet on, as it's unlikely to hit the other team because there's a pair. So you'll probably see a continuation bet. And they quickly fold. Everybody's clapping. I'm not sure what the clapping's about. You know. Something's going on.
We awarded Richard yesterday's 1 million.
Oh, okay. They just awarded the Richard and won the opening day event. They just awarded his trophy, acknowledged him. That's why you have all the clapping. If you want to see that event, you can do a search on the archives. It was yesterday. Amazing tournament. He played really well, very relaxed. He's a local Filipino. He's a very good poker player. He's a lot of fun to watch. I recommend checking out that recording of that tournament on Twitch. Alright, it was a queen 3 from the button. Very similar to the last hand where we have suited connectors and small blind versus a high card, the non-connecting lower card. Last time was queen 9, now it's queen 3. So it'll probably be a call from the button. And probably just be a check back. Oh, no, I'm sorry, there was a raise. It's 12,000 and they call with the 7-6 clubs. Look at the statistics, you can see they're not that far behind. And the flop comes 10, 7, 8. So June and Tetsuya flopped middle pair. But Kosue has the flush draw and overcard. And backdoor straight draw. Becomes 9 check. Also, yeah, Tetsuya's got an inside straight draw. With a 9, if a 9 comes. Interesting spot here. They bet out 12,000. And now with the middle pair, what do? No hearts. Looks like June is letting Tetsuya make the decision by himself. Makes the call. The fact that June doesn't look so interested in this game, it could be a tell that they don't understand. As you can see, there's more celebration happening. Again, this is for yesterday's event. Yeah. And then it goes check, check. And here comes the 9, giving Tetsuya's team a straight. Let's see what they do. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Of course, they're worried that they might have a jack or a higher straight, but could have a flush. But I think you need to bet it. It's most likely to be a bet and a fold. There's 49,000 in the pot. Oh, they checked. I'm sorry, there's a check. Check bet, and there's a call. So I think that was the smarter move. Come to think of it, hindsight's 20/20. If they bet, they're just going to get a fold, but if they check, they open up the opportunity for them to make a bluff, and they call behind with a straight. So again, that's why I'm in here and those guys are out there. My instinct was to bet it, and it would have been wrong because they would have folded. And I can see what cards they have. Very impressive. These guys are two really good teams here.
10-minute break, guys, at the heavyweight tournament.
There's the next hand. Stacks are at 184 and 148. So Jun and Tetsuya are slowly developing their chip stack, but this one probably won't go well for them because they're up against a bigger king. So they raised from the button with King 4. Now King Jack of Hearts will probably be met. Probably will be a re-raise here. Guessing to raise it to, I don't know, 28 or something. Huh, I was wrong. They just called King Jack of Hearts. Surprised. But there's a lot of discussion there with those two, so you know it's a little bit suspicious. And little did they know they would flop the nuts. And of course, with the nuts you want to check is a check behind. If the jack comes, it'll be a chop pot. Now there's a 9 on the turn. And so they'll make a bet. There's 25,000 in the middle here. Interesting, if they'd raised pre-flop, they could have had a pretty good sized pot. But you know, that's hindsight. So they bet out 15,000. Imagine these guys would just fold it, but hard to say. I mean, they did talk about the hand quite a lot in the beginning, so that could be a tell that they have a strong hand. They've got a straight draw. Look in the background, you can see the Korean woman. We've got her name already. Park. She's looking in. She played very well. She's actually won an event here before. She's very well known. What's Tetsuya going to do with her overpowered king?
Champion of our fellow Harold.
And I was thinking, okay, what hands can we beat our king 4? They could have lower cards, like 8, 7, 8, 6 maybe. Maybe 2 diamonds, but not the ace of diamonds, so something like 5, 8 of diamonds, 8, 7 of diamonds, 8, 6 of diamonds. But you know what? There's so many hands that beat them, they have to just let it go. 89, 10, or queen, or a pair, or could even have the straight, which is what they have, or full house. So that extends their lead back up to 200,000 versus 139,000 for Jun and Tetsuya. I think we're in hand number, I'm guessing about, well, I'll just tell you exactly what it is, 39. So the tag team does take a little longer. We've been playing over 2 hours, only 39 hands, but there's also been some really exciting hands where it took a lot of discussion. 10-6 from the big blind. They will, is that a call or a raise? That would be a raise, and that's enough to take it down. Hard to call a raise out of position with 3-2. And number 40 at the final table. And this time, Jun and Tetsuya get a hand. Let's see if there's more discussion this time. Ace Jack, 2 black cards. Raise it up to 12,000. Ace 4, most likely will just call. But they could make a re-raise with an ace. You know, there's a lot of hands that are ahead of. Hands like Queen 10, King Jack. Jack 10. So they do make, instead of raise, yeah, it looks like they made a re-raise. They're probably ahead of, they're thinking they're probably ahead of most of their cards that they would raise with. And they're having some kind of conversation back and forth. So three bets at 24,000. Looks like Kosue is making the hand motion like they're reeling them in like a fish. Little does he know he's dominated. So you could see a 4-bet. So it's 12,000 to call. If they re-raise, I'd imagine they'll go up to about 56,000. Or all in. Interesting hand. Now what do you do with ace 4? You go all in. Now you have to figure. He's either got a better ace or a pair. Maybe a hand like King Queen suited. But more likely a pair. Or a better ace. So I think they're going to find a fold. Such a big bet. But again, these guys know each other a lot better than I do, so I don't know the dynamic between them. How well they know each other's play, but yeah, he makes the right play. But nice little win there, 158,000 in that pot, excuse me. For Yanni, it was a long tournament yesterday. Wow, now it's pretty close. It's amazing how these swings just takes a couple hands. Anything can happen in these tournaments. I ordered my shake, remember? So frustrating. They're so nice in front of. Okay, so there's a raise up to, yeah. So they haven't raised yet, they're thinking about it. They got the ace-8 of diamonds, they'll make a raise. There'll be a quick fold, I'd imagine, with 9-5. And they take it down. Some of these hands play very predictably. Other hands are just totally unpredictable. Just the nature of the game. time when I thought that Tetsuya would bet out with a straight check call. And in hindsight, that was what gave him the most chips. On the other hand, when Kosei and Usuge were playing against the Koreans when they flopped trip threes, I thought in that hand it was a slow play at check behind. But they raised and they were able to induce a re-raise. So in both instances, the way I thought they would play the hand was not how they played it, and they got the most out of the hand that they could have, I think, in hindsight. But here's one of those hands that just plays itself. Ace queen button raises, 3 deuce will fold, and they'll take it down. They're pretending like they're interested in the hand for 3 deuce, but I imagine they're just going to fold. It's probably good to do this once in a while. You can't always just, quickly fold the hand. I think it's good sometimes to make sure that you're thinking about a hand and then you fold it, showing that you're willing to fold good hands. I think just for balance, it makes sense. Or they might decide to re-raise with the 3 deuce. That could happen too. I didn't expect that. I didn't see that coming. Wow, Tetsuya's liking that. Now, with a re-raise to 28,000, again, I'm thinking he's going to put in a 4-bet. But it'd be interesting if he just called, obviously, because I see it's just a 3-2. But yeah, he goes all in, and then that's an easy fold. So there they tried to make a move with 3-2. Didn't work. And I imagine they're probably perhaps starting to get a little frustrated here with their 3 deuce. They just got 4-bet 2 hands in a row. And Tetsuya and Jun now take the lead. So that hand, if Tetsuya and Jun go on to win, perhaps that hand will be the turning point of this turn, this final table. Interesting that they chose that hand to raise. Maybe they saw something in Tetsuya, or maybe it was frustration. I don't know. Maybe we can ask him later. If we can get them in the booth, we'll ask him. Okay, here's an interesting hand. Kosei and Usugi. Pocket deuces from the button. Imagine they're going to raise. Ace 10. Probably will put in a re-raise. They're running hot now. They get 3 good aces, 3 hands in a row. And it looks like they just called from the big blind. So that makes an interesting pot of 25,000. Deuces against ace 10, and there comes the flop. Ace 10, 3. And I think they'll probably check the ace 10. They're hoping that they have a better ace, ace king, so they can take him down with 2 pair. Probably not too worried about the diamonds. So it's checked, and then they get a check behind. And the turn comes a 9, so now I imagine you'll see a bet from the Tetsuya Jun team. And in fact, you do. There's a bet of 12,500. Pocket deuces. Unless they want to get real creative, I imagine they're going to fold. That's a problem with pocket deuces. Almost every time on the flop, you get 3 higher cards. Unless you happen to flop trips, which I actually did twice yesterday. Me and my partner, we flopped a set of deuces within about 15 minutes. It was pretty amazing. The second time it happened, the clock ran down to 0 because it was a new increase in the levels. And the rules are, when the level ends, you need to switch with your partner. So he sat down in my seat, was happy to see that he had flopped a set. We won a nice pot for that one. We actually had, we were in the hand against the Korean team in that one. had bet out, and my partner raised. This is on a flop of a set of twos with two hearts, and they called the raise, and then they checked on the turn. Third heart came, and my partner made another big bet. I forget the exact amount, and they eventually found the fold. But it was a really nice pot, and I was so curious as to what they had, what they called with on the flop that they folded on the turn. All right, now here's an interesting hand. We get 10-9 versus 9-8. So Tetsuya and Jun raised to 11.5. It looks like they're counting out some raising chips here. Of course, you don't like to see a re-raise when you have 10-9. But it's raised 11,000, so if he re-raises, probably go 25. Let's see. That's 10, 20, 25, 28, I think. Yeah, 28,000. And now, this is where that aggression can really pay off. Most likely there'll be a fold from the button, but they could call. I mean, they might just. I don't think they'll re-raise. They're either going to call or fold, I'd imagine. And they call. So we got a good sized pot here. We're actually way ahead, but they can't know that. Got a pot of 57,000. 10-9 versus 9-8. Very interesting hand. Now, what kind of flop do you want to see? How about a 9-7 jack? Oh! I just called it. Whoa! I just called the flop. Amazing. 9-7 jack. Is that what I said? Yeah, I said 9-7. Okay, it wasn't 9-7 jack, but that was close. Jack 10-7. So what do we have here? We got a straight and pair with straight draw. What a flop for the 9-8. And they bet out. 23,000. So there's a call with middle pair and a straight draw. Very interesting. Now if an 8 comes, that will give Tetsuya's team straight. And it'll be a chop. But there's only 3 8s left, so it's unlikely to happen. So now we've got 103,000 in the pot. Kosue and Usuge, they've got 95,000. So they want to get as much. They want to get the whole stack in if they can by the river. So I'd imagine they'll bet about 40,000 here, and then go all in on the river. Maybe 45,000. Imagine that's what they're thinking. You know, they're thinking, how can we get all of our stack in there by the river? Tetsuya and Jun are thinking, okay, we have second pair, inside straight draw. They might be betting the flush draw here. They did re-raise us. Oh, they just check. Really surprised to see that. I imagine Tetsuya is just going to check behind. I did not expect them to check. So maybe they're sensing that they really want to bet here. Be interesting to ask him why he checked. Maybe he's just thinking a bet will just have him fold. Give him a chance to bluff. And it looks like it might work. They're discussing it. They're thinking about what to do. Jun and Tetsuya probably think they're ahead. It worked. So the check worked. It got them to bet. and they bet, looks like 23,000. So much less than what they would have bet if they bet like half the pot. They look really eager, don't they? They seem really eager, which could be a tell. But they're really just, they're counting out the chips together. Looks like a check raise. Yeah, it is. Check raise all in, insta fold. So that's why they checked. They just wanted to, they figured that's the only way they can get more chips into the middle of the pot, by checking. And it worked. Now the question is, could they have done that with a flush draw? Just for balance. Okay, now we have a 10-minute break. We'll be back in 10 minutes.
36.
All right, we're back. Hand number 46. Blinds are now 3,000 and 6,000 with antes of 1,000. So when the antes are a third of the small blind, that's a really good proportion to make some raises just to steal the antes. Not so much with just two people, but at a full ring table. Now, it's an interesting stat here. If you look at this, Kosue, 50% pre-flop raises. In June, it's only 34%. I think that's due to the fact that they got a lot of 2-4s and 2-3s when they first went down to two people. But the last few hands before the break, they were able to make quite a nice comeback when they had an ace jack, ace king, and I think ace nine. They had three hands in a row that had strong aces. This should be an interesting hand. Two good hands, both are above average. Queen 10 versus King 10 versus Queen 4 suited. Kosue and Usugi raise it up to 13,000, and there's a quick call. And that could be a little bit of a tell by calling so quickly. They're not even considering raising. You'd have to think that you're ahead now with the King 10. The flop comes ace 10-7, just because they didn't even consider raising. If they had an ace, they probably would consider the raise. So they bet out, and it was a quick fold. Good play. That hand pretty much just played itself. And you could make the argument that they could represent the ace by raising, but that's very high variance poker. It's not really their style. With only 15 big blinds, it's not a whole lot of maneuverability, so they made the smart choice to fold and wait for a better opportunity. Now they're the button. And so they get to see another hand in position. Now, of course, 7 deuce wasn't the hand they're hoping for, so they just fold it. Now, some people play with the philosophy heads up that you should play 82 cards from the button. But who knows what the optimal strategy is. I don't think anybody really does. It's so dependent on situations, playing styles, chip sizes, and so forth. How other people play. But with the antes and blinds, you could make the argument that any two cards should be played from the button. But they folded the worst hand, 7 deuce. In the next hand, they get ace king suited. We don't see what Kosue and Usugi have. And they just called. Now ace king of spades. Most likely will be a raise. I guess to about 8,000. Tetsuya will do the raising. And I was way off. 17,000. Is that right? 17? That's hard to see. 17,000.
Calling on the players for 25 lines. Jay, Lorna, Girl, Richie, Ernie, Take 9, Rodolfo.
We don't know what the other two have, but they're discussing something. They didn't raise from the button, so it makes you think that they probably aren't that strong. But they call. So we have a 36,000 pot. Tetsuya and June are probably very happy here with one of the top hands. When the flop comes, we don't see the flop. We can't see it. Let's see if we can figure out what the flop is by how they're acting and how they're betting. So all we know is that Tetsuya and June have the ace king of spades. June gives the chips over to Tetsuya, let him make the move. He bets out 3,000. Ah, there's a flop. King, queen, 4. They bet, say 3,000. Yeah. I'm sorry, those are 5,000 each. The yellows are 5,000 each. It's 15,000. So they got the top pair, top kicker. We don't know what the other two have, but wow, they call pretty quickly. Turn king. Turn is the 7 of hearts.
Marvin.
And it says option, but I think they checked. I think he hit the table. Very interesting hand. So yeah, there was a check, and then there's a bet of it looks like only 8,000. Such a small bet. Huh. You have to think. If they're betting, are they betting small because they want us to call, or because they're weak and don't want to check behind? You know, they're probably talking, what should we do here? Should we raise? If we raise, how much? And they just say, you know what? Let's just go all in. And they get called. We still don't know what they have, but they called. Do they have a king queen? Do they have a flush draw? Ace queen of hearts? We don't know. Oh, they had jack 8. They call with jack 8. King on the river. Not sure why they call with jack 8. Interesting. We may have missed something there, but didn't expect them to call with jack 8. I don't get that. Maybe they made a bluff. We were having some technical difficulties on that one, but we'll get everything worked out. Now the tables have definitely turned.
It's really Jack 8.
Jack 8? Wow. Hopefully we'll get to ask them afterwards what happened there. They still have a lot of play left. 161,000 chips, but I think emotionally the tides have turned. Tetsuya and June are just, you know, feeling really on top of the world right now. Momentum has shifted, and the strategy of just folding these weak hands from the button seems to be doing well for them.
Tama naman sa 5-6, ay 4 sila eh. Ay, saan ba talaga sila? 4 naman sila talaga dito. Wala, hindi talaga nababa sa 5. Siguro dito. Pagkalagay nila kasi hindi na naglalagay, hindi sa panel. Ayan, tignan mo.
So again, the blinds are 3,000 to 6,000. Kosue and Nasugi have 10-7 hearts, and the big blinds are probably going to raise, and they'll find a quick fold. It's 3,000 to call. They'll probably raise it to about, what, 15,000, 12,000? Maybe 13.5. Looks like 14, yeah, 14,000. 8-5 will fold. I'd be really surprised to see them call with this hand, but who knows? They're thinking about something. So far, their strategy of not playing the weak hands has done well for them, so they're being consistent with that. One thing about good players, though, is that they can adapt their playing style to the situation at hand. So I wouldn't be surprised if they start to change it up, start to be more aggressive. But once again, they made the right play and folded the worst hand. We have two above average hands this time. Jun and Tetsuya with the ace-4. Probably see a raise with an ace. I imagine they raised to 10,000, 15,000. I imagine the king 8 will call, but we might also see them re-raise. The problem with just calling is on the flop you most likely won't hit, and then there'll be continuation bet from Tetsuya and Jun, and then you fold. So that's the problem with just calling. You have to make the right move and just fold. I thought they would go with the king, but they did the right thing. Wow, very close. Look how close the stacks are. 175 and 165,000. If you guys are having a good time watching this, please feel free to make comments in the Twitch box, chat box, or just come and join the fun at Resort World. This is the AP2-2. Very well structured tournament, well organized, great service. Please join us at Resort World. Now we're having a technical issue with Kosue's and Nasugi. We can't see what their cards are. But they just called. Jun and Tetsuya look down for ace-9 of hearts. Probably see a raise, I imagine. Probably to about, what, 13,000 or so? 17,000. So yeah, those two tend to make bigger raises than the other two. We don't know what the other two have, but they do have position. So the fact that they have position might mean they might call a little lighter than usual. But the fact that they're lapping, it kind of makes it look like they've got a weak hand. I don't know. That's just my perception. To me, they don't look that strong. It's kind of interesting that we can't see their cards because it makes us guess what could they have. And they're asking, why are they taking so long? giving them a hard time. Here comes the flop. Can't see the flop, but we'll get that to you soon. Tetsuya and June don't look that interested, and they just check. My sense is that they're not strong, but you know, they could be. Maybe they're being deceptive. Poker players sometimes are deceptive. It's actually not a bad flop for them. 8-7-5. I mean, you'd think that'd be unlikely to hit the other two, but and if the 6 comes, they have a straight. So they bet out. It goes check, bet 15,000. They call the inside straight draws and 2 overcards. Of course, they'd love to see a 6 of hearts. And the turn is. We'll get the turn to you soon. Whatever it is, Tetsuya and June just checked. Maybe it's a queen of spades. Maybe 2 of hearts. 2 of clubs, that was close. It went check, check, and the river, we don't see it. It goes check. You know, if it's a 4th club, will the other team make a bet at it, make a play? If they do, they'll probably win it. It is the queen. I wonder what Tetsuya and June are discussing right now. Love to hear what they're saying. Alright, we have 66,000 in the pot. Interesting hand. We don't know if they're betting for value here or making a bluff. Pretty good sized bet, it looks like. $23,000. Now the question is, do we just call with ace high? Or do we represent something like a flush or a queen and make a raise? So it looks like Tetsuya's going through the range of hands that he might have. Well, he makes the call with ace high. And they show... Well, we don't know. We don't know what they have. Whatever they have, they won. I think they had a queen. That's my guess. Let's see. Can we get what they had? Jack 7 of clubs. They had a flush. What? Jack 7. Wow. So they bet for value with the second pair, and they're on the flush draw, the river. Interesting hand. So that puts Kosue and Usugi back to the top. 221,000. Oh, that was a tough break. The ace 9. That's what makes heads up plays so difficult. Jack 7. Well, they didn't do well with the Jack 8, but they did well with the Jack 7.
Ano, pinalitan mo? Kaya nagkapagalan. Sabihan mo si Yuichi ngayon para... Ito nakakalimutan rin ko.
I'm blind to it. Give it time. Okay. What level is this? 19. Alright, we got a new deck. We've got about 10 minutes left to the end of level 19. The blinds are at 1,500, 3,000. With the antes, I'm sorry, 3,000, 6,000. With antes of 1,000. Tetsuya June team, the 8-4 of hearts. Now they're starting to make some moves. I think they're going to raise it to 15,000. 2.5 big blinds with the 8-4 of hearts. And Kosue and Osugi are thinking about what to do. 7-5. Wow, they made, is that a re-race? They made a re-race. That should do the job. Nice play there. I wonder if they saw something. If they saw that Tetsuya and Jun were weak. Is that why they made this re-race? 3-bet to 30,000? Or not? Wow, they're considering maybe making a move here. Interesting. Just calls with the 8-4 hearts. I don't think Jun's very comfortable with that, but you know, he's letting Tetsuya drive this ship. Tetsuya is more the seasoned pro. Interesting flop, 9-6 deuce. Doesn't really help either one of them. Does give an inside straight draw to Kosue and Sugi's team. So it goes check, check. And now Jun picks up a flush draw. It also gives the other team a double barrel. So if they get a 4 or an 8, they get a straight. Yep. They also win if they get a 5. They win the 5. No, 7. No, they also won the 5. I don't know why the 5 is up here in the outs. Because the 5 gives them a better hand, right? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. No, 5 would give them straight. So no, they don't want a 5. They need a yeah, what it says, 7, 4, or 8. So it goes all in on the flush draw. Interesting play, and they instantly fold. Nice move. Jun's laughing.
Quick reminder going up with all the tournament dealers. The player faces chip into the pot. See what that player's made mistake.
They were ahead already, but still, it was a beautiful play. They showed pre-flop aggression. Picked up the flush draw on the turn, so they went for it. But they're still behind, just by a little bit. 190,000 against 150,000.
Make sure to know what the questions are. If you're unsure, simply ask the interview.
So blinds still 3,000 and 6,000, just for a couple more hands probably. Kosue and Osugi, they get a real hand for a change. Pocket 10s. As you can see, there's a lot of laughter and conversation going back and forth between the teams. And so the pocket 10s raises up to 14,000 and 8-3 folds. 8-3 suited folds. They probably figure out we got enough from the 8-4 suited. Let's just let the 8-3 suited go away.
You guys are going for the record, huh? Going for the record?
Longest.
Longest.
Jun and Tetsuya, they pick up a nice hand on the button. 10-9. And they raise, small raise, just 12,000. So interesting, they changed their the amount that they raise pre-flop. I don't think that means much, but it does make the other people think, okay, why are they changing the amount that they're raising? Is that because they want us to call, or because they're weak, or I kind of like the idea of just changing it once in a while. Whoa! Pocket Kings makes the re-raise. Now let's see how they respond to this. So they re-raise to what? Looks like 20,000, 25,000, 13,000 call. I imagine they're just gonna call. 10-9 is not a bad hand to see a flop with. But they might also have a tell. They might have a sense that these guys are strong. And they fold. Nice fold. Do they show the 10s, the kings? No. I think they showed them the 10s last time. This time they didn't show them the kings. It's always frustrating when someone raises before you. You pick up pocket kings, so you re-raise and they fold. I'm hoping they've got a good hand like pocket 10s. In hand, we're probably down to about what, 50 hands? 57. This is hand number 57. Kosei and Usugi from the button. We're not able to see their cards, but they were probably. No, they just call. They limp from the button. We can't see what they have, but we'll get that information for you. Here comes the flop. Can't see the flop, but we'll get that for you soon. The technical guys are working on getting that for you. There's a bet of 6,000. It bets out 6,000, and there's a call. It brings the flop, the pot up to 14,000. Okay, here's the flop. The flop is a queen, jack, 8. Now there's a turn. Check by Tetsuya and Jun. Check back. So you know Tetsuya and Jun got to think they're ahead. And the flop. Okay, the turn was a 7. We didn't see the turn, but the river. But Jun and Tetsuya win. $44,000 pot.
Did they bet?
Yeah, they bet the turn. Kosei and Usugi are still leading 188,000. Jun and Tetsuya 154, 152. Hand number 58. Jun and Tetsuya continue to fold the weak 2s from the button and just throw the chips at their buddies. So this is definitely a battle. Again, you don't find these guys getting too out of line. Every once in a while, you see them making, some moves with bad hands. But I think it's because they kind of sense when the other person's strong or weak. Like they didn't make a re-raise. Tetsuya and Jun didn't when they raised with the 9-8. They just folded to the re-raise. But earlier, when they had the 8-4, they 3-bet against the re-raise. So because then that's when they had the 7-5. So my sense is that they can sort of get a feeling for who the other person is. So they know each other quite well. but we don't know for sure. It's just a guess. All right, here's the next hand. Jack 5. What will June do with Jack 5? He wants to fold, but before he can fold it, Tetsuya calls. And yeah, we're not able to see their cards. They're discussing it. Do they have a real hand? The fact that they're talking about it makes me think that it's really not a real strong hand, but also not a real weak hand. Maybe it's a hand like 10-9 suited, or maybe a little better than that. Maybe it's a Queen-Jack hand. But I don't think they have an ace. So they raise and they get a fold quickly. Oh, they went all in. Is that right? No. All right, they won. Next hand. Kosei and Usugi are working the chip stack up again. And blinds are up. Next level. This is level 20 now. So blinds are at 4,000, 8,000. The tournament could end this level, but who knows? Kosei's team, they had quite a chip advantage before. They had Tetsuya's team down to 12 blinds, I believe, at the lowest point. They climbed back up, but now they're steadily starting to regain the lead again. So again, blinds are now at 4,000, 8,000. And unfortunately, we can't see Kosei's cards. But it looks like they made a raise. And in the middle, we've got 36,000. So yeah, it was a raise. 17,000 call. We don't see the flop. We apologize for the technical difficulties. But they checked on the flop with their 7-6. And the flop was ace-7-9. And there's a bet of, looks like, 16,000. Then we got the low pair.
Marvin. Turn. Wala pa. No turn card yet.
Oh, yeah.
What happened?
It's just he bet the check bet. It looks like 16,000. So thinking. Yeah, 16,000. It's a call. There's a delayed call. Bottom pair. And the turn comes. We'll get you that turn card soon. Tetsuya checks. It's a 6. Wow. I was going to say, I don't think it's a 6. We can check so fast, but that's perhaps why he checked fast. So he just turned 2 pair.
Tetsuya check.
Yeah. There's a check, and now the option goes to Kosei and Usugi. If they bet, what will they do here? Do you think they'll check raise? They not only check raise, they check raise very fast, all in. And they call. What do they have? We gotta get their cards. So there's an all in and a call. They had a flush draw. And the river was the 6 clubs full house. Wow, full house.
Nilagay ko
Now Tetsuya takes the lead.
nilagay ko na yung cards nila eh.
They had a flush draw. That was a good move to go check raise on the turn to get him to go all in with his flush draw. Wow, that changes everything. Let's see what the chip stack is now. By looking at their stack, it looks like they've got about, those are stacks of 20, so it's 40,000 plus whatever they have in their hands. Maybe about 50,000. So they've only got, they've got like 5 big blinds now. That was another turning point. That was a big hand. It changed the tides. Okay, Tetsuya and Jun. We can't see their cards yet. But they folded is probably something deuce. Probably a 9-2. So now that Kosei and Usugi have 7 big blinds, 61,000. They're in dire straits, but once again, anything can happen. Okay, Kosei and Usugi. We've got 7-5 of diamonds. Do they just push it here? They might just push it. Instead fold. It's either one or the other, I think. Either you push it or you go all in. Push it or fold. Another fold from the button. Wow. I imagine they had a hand like 7 deuce. Okay, we can't see what June's cards are. But they're thinking about something. Wow, it folded again. That's 3 hands in a row they folded the big blind.
Mali pagkalagay niya ng card. Oo nga, nakaganon eh.
Both teams have been sort of card dead lately. They're bound to get some good cards soon. Perhaps it'll be this hand. We can't see what they have. They're talking about something, and they just make the call. King 5, I imagine they'll just check behind. But once again, I guessed incorrectly. They went all in, and there's an instant fold. And there's a pre-flop raise percentages. It's increased. Kosei and June make 48%. There we go. Pocket Kings. They were patient. And look at Tetsuya. Look at the other two. Can he sense they've got a good hand here? They just call. And they check behind. A lot of laughter. I wonder what they're laughing about. I wish I could see what they have. We'll see how they respond to the flop. So just limp from the button with Pocket Kings. And we can't see the flop. We'll get that to you soon. Been having some technical difficulties we apologize for. We can't see the flop, but I'm guessing that he flopped with a pair. Oh, here we go. Flop is Jack 6-3, and they bet out 10,000. Maybe they've got a Jack, maybe they have a 6. Maybe they got like a 6-7 or Jack 8. There's no straight draws, no flush draws, so pretty good flop if you have kings. So they're thinking, okay, do we just call here and raise on the turn? Should we raise here and induce potential re-raise or get them to commit more to the pot here on the flop? So they decided to raise here to 20,000, and there's an insta fold. And then Pocket Kings takes it down. So I'm guessing that the other team didn't really have much of anything. Probably no pair. Probably no overcards. Probably something like 5-7 or 10-8. But we'll never know. So Kosei and Sugi, they increased their big blinds stack size to 12 big blinds. And the chip leaders continue to fold the button to their worst hands, which seems to be working for them.
All right, heads up to your players. Pick up if you're opting for the second break. We are going to allow registration, you guys, in attendance.
14.
Last chance to get your hand for the
Still have 14 minutes left on this level, if we get that far. There's a good possibility that the tournament will end before then. As you can see, the players are quite tired, yawning. They had a late night last night and a 1 o'clock start today, which is early for a poker player. Alright, here's the next hand. Kosei Anusugi. We can't see their cards. So here we go. Pocket nines against King 10 suited. Looks like this might be an all-in moment. Let's see how this plays out. Pocket nines. Will raise, I'm sure. How much is? The question is, how much do they raise to? They don't. They just call the 4,000. King 10 suited will probably make the raise, and then the nines will go all in. I imagine. So here's a raise up to 18,000, I think. And so it's 10,000 to call, but most likely they'll just push it. They've only got, well, they got 94. So yeah, they don't have to go all in. They might maybe just raise up to 40,000. A little less than half their stack. If they want to be really tricky, they just call, but I doubt they would do that with nines. And once again, I guessed wrong, so they just called the nines. Interesting. Very tricky. Alright, the flop comes 10, 5, 3. Oh, what a terrible flop for the nine just because they happen to have a king. It's hard to fold to that king. Interesting, the dynamics have changed now though because Tetsuya's not there anymore. So now it's just Jun. So they gotta think, okay, how would Jun play this? Will he go all in? Will he make this bet with flush draw? They go all in and now Jun's like, where's my buddy? Tetsuya, come back, help me. I got top pair. And they went all in. I'm sure he's gonna call, but you know, he doesn't want to do it all by himself. It's also part of the Japanese culture, you know, it's such a group mentality. They really respect their compatriots, other people in their group. So he's explaining the situation. I'm sure Tetsuya would say, yeah, you got to call. You got a top pair with the king. King kicker? Yeah, we call. So they'll call, and we'll see what happens. But it's cool that he kind of got his permission first. I mean, that's why it takes a little bit longer. You know, we get two people to every hand. It takes a little bit longer, but there it is. See, as an American, I just would have called it because I know my partner would never say fold that hand. The flop's a king. They're really in trouble. They need a 9 on the river. It's a queen. Tournament is over. We have a champion, ladies and gentlemen. The champions, Tetsuya and Jun from Tokyo. This has been a great event. We hope to get these guys in the booth so we can talk to them about their strategy, what their thinking was. Thank you for being a part of this, and we hope to get them in here very quickly. I'm Michael Schell from Manila. We'll be with you soon.
Hi, Sam. You guys want to be interviewed?
All right, guys, once again, the registration for the headhunter event is closing in about 3 minutes. Last chance to get into the headhunter event. All right, guys, here we go. Once again, all tournament players. At the lock of registration here once again. Tournament players and dealers, as we go back in there, they have their last chance. And for all 3 registered players, you guys being the top, all those chips will be going down in this round.
I called it.
All right, basic amount of players that due to past events. Keep in mind, you guys are scheduled to be a 2-day event with the final 8 players continue on tomorrow at 1 o'clock. Only way this will continue to a today event is if we reach the final 8 players by 10 p.m. All right, here we go, tournament players and dealers. 200, 450 anti-tournament dealers, please. Shuffle the deal. And we have we're going to award the 2 champions of the nominations event, and award this trophy to the
One more test.
Devin Gamer on stage. Out of 17 teams and multiple nations represented, we are the champions of the God of the Nations event, guys, all the way from Japan, Funabashi and Tetsuya. Your trophies, guys. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen, again. The 2 champions from Japan of the God of the Nations, Tetsuya and Funabashi. Also, they finished just enough time, guys. They are going to be joining you guys here at the PK. The chips are already down to the plane, I believe. You know, the updates are taken to the passport, and congratulations to Team Japan. Let's see you for the Boston.